lovely.
Rattlesnake venom hits from Medea's lips. Dragon Queen, cup of fire. Black arrows darken the sky. The order of the rose with the bows and arrows. Horses ride in full stride. The bolts hit the mark every time. Psychotropic logos. You know who's in the right. Ursus with the giggling smile. Produce the flowers with the pow. I give you my blood. Do you have the blood of the dying god? Sell fire. Put the stars in your eyes. Rub it in. The man who's laughing. I am being. Drink hallelujah from Aphrodite's lips. Ethos. Purple juice cult. Gorgeous. Make your face melt. Tarot cards dealt. Ancient songs of cosmic spells. Wave the magic wand from overhead. Simon says, Hail Satan.
Welcome back to Lady Babylon Bacchic Orgy. We're going to be looking at the Maculate Reception tonight. This is a special episode. What we have going on for you is a little tag team between myself and between Gnostic Informant. We're going to get it on. But before we do, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about the most excellent and glorious release of the interview on Danny Jones. Yes, cue the applause, Chewy. It's fantastic. And it's going swimmingly. And it occurred to me as that current was hitting, I thought, all those great people on Lady Babylon, all the satanic congregation, we need a party. And we're going to have one tonight because we have momentum. And we are in a place that we can bring that museum back. I love this. I absolutely love this. Now, how are we going to get there? Tonight, I'm going to take you into the mines. There's so many souls. There's so many souls to suck. Oh, God, it feels so good. It feels so good. It's almost not right. Oh, God. Mommy, show me. Oh, God. That's part of it. Dude, it's not. It's terrible. It's a terrible thing. Dennis Hopper, I think, was the source of that. Fantastic. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to bring on Gnostic Informant here, and we're going to look through some comments and some clips. And I just want to celebrate. I want to say this. This is my introduction. It's so nice to look back upon the fields that you have toiled and labored over. It's so nice to be a craftsman and to know that you have finally produced that gorgeous, gorgeous product. Yes, this dope. If it doesn't rub the wrong way, it's not the right stuff. And that's what we're going to be looking at tonight. We're going to do it through the eyeballs, the minds of those people who are watching. This is such a nice opportunity. Danny Jones has given me the opportunity to take what I've been bringing to everybody here and take it to the world. And he did such a fantastic job in the interview and caught me off guard. How often does that happen? Whew. Oh, God, I loved it. Let's begin by bringing Neil in and tell us. Go ahead, Chewy. Beam him up. That's the wrong one. Yeah, okay. Gnostic Informant, welcome. I'm going to show us a clip here to start. And I just want to you to give me your impressions. Let me know what you think. Is there anything you want to say, Neil, before we begin here tonight?
That 3.5 hour discussion that you and Danny had was incredible. And we're looking at the metrics. Me and Danny are looking at the numbers, crunching the numbers. This is going viral. It's got the watch times through the roof, the comments, thousands of comments through the roof, likes through the roof, watch time, I already said that. It's got the click rate through, it's like 10%. This video is taking off, which is exactly what we hoped for, and we knew that the reaction would be mixed. We didn't have any doubts about that. That we don't care about, because that's what we want to see. We love to see both the haters and the lovers. That's the best part about it. Off the mute. You could tell you were under the muse the whole time. It wasn't. You were just flowing, dude. You were just flowing.
Do we have that picture? Something, Chewy, can you pull up that picture that is the cover for Danny's? Yeah, there we go.
Look at you.
There we go. There we go. What is that?
You said the one part that my hair stood up when you looked over and you said, Athana, she's that warrior virgin that we put up on the hill.
Yeah.
And Danny just looked at you and goes, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. It was so nice to be able to do it. It was so nice. Yeah.
It's one of the greatest podcasts I've ever seen in a long time. So,
well, hopefully, that's part of what I wanted to make tonight too, is I want the satanic congregation that has been there so long with me right now. Can you hear the people leaving the building? Right? We do that. Why do we do that? We do it on purpose so those people will go away. Right. So can you imagine the satanic congregation has been through this the whole way? And I just want to share in this victory, in the labors of many people, and a community effort, and a real, what I think is a spark to a renaissance. This is gorgeous. I'm so privileged to be able to work with every one of you. And I just want to say, from the altar of our temple, thank you. Thank you. Oh, God. Let's look at some comments. Put me in my place with some. Oh, wait, leave that up. Oh, I love that. Give me some comments here. Let's roll out a couple. I've got them ready. Now, I'm going to give a lot. I want to fly through some of these, and then I want to roll some couple of tapes. But let's start out with a couple of comments. Evil.
I love it.
I thought that was nice and concise. One word. Give us the next one. Yeah. Yeah. Many of these fools only listen to the first 10 minutes as it shows. He's just weeding out, right? Closed-minded. Thank you. Some people get it. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, I get it. Why do you always say Hail Satan? Okay. If it makes you uncomfortable, get out. Mm-hmm. Right? That's the gadfly, brah. Okay, let's go to the next one. I want your comment on this one. You read this one. Can you read this one? It's kind of small.
Yeah. I love this guest so much. He comes off a little cracked in the head, but how would you not be after reading an actual ancient text that everything we are taught about the past is completely inaccurate?
Yeah, that was nice.
Well said.
I felt a little, when I read a comment like that, I feel vindicated. Like, oh, somebody caught it, and they were like, oh, thank you, thank me. Go to the next one. It's gorgeous. This guy took a trip and never came back. That, okay, I want to ask your opinion. Neil, a lot of these comments are about drug use. And was there anything in that interview that made you think somehow that I was some kind of drug user?
Mm-mm. You even said you're a purist at some point in there.
Yeah.
But so, if I had to steal man for them, is they're hearing you saying so much stuff that they're shocked to hear, that they're thinking he must be doing the stuff that he's claiming that these Greeks are doing. But people that actually know the ancient Greek sources know that medical was everything. Medical, right. There was a gray area between medical and cult. It was all sort of, brought into the same fold where medicine is everywhere. Drugs are everywhere. It's just a part of life. They don't even think about it the way we think about it.
Look, the Scythians were not drug users. They just bathed daily in mists of cannabis.
Right.
Right? That's the Scythian way, brah. And this kind of stuff, I thought, I was able to, ooh, oh God, I love it. Let's keep going. I watched Danny Jones. What was that? I didn't see it. That's okay. Keep going. I watched Danny Jones, then came here from work. Oh God. Thank you very much, Oscar. That's cool. That's cool. Isn't it nice? Nice job, Chewy. Okay, let's do a couple more of these comments and then run a clip. How about this one? Do we take this serious? I'm like 5 minutes in, and this is like, I don't know, complete comedy, drama, horror. I can't stop watching. I like this comment because you could just take comedy, change horror to tragedy, and you've got the two forms of classical drama, right? You say drama, colon. Okay, yeah, fantastic. I love that. Bringing in all of the possessive elements. And one more. Happy Steve-O's doing well. Come on. Seriously? Okay. That's a compliment, by the way. That's a huge compliment. Thank you very much, Mr. I'm going to judge who you are. I love it. Bring more. Give me the first clip. Let's run the first clip. And Neil, I want your opinion on this, and just boom, one sentence. It sucks, or whatever. Go ahead.
So what does this all mean? Everything you've learned, everything we've talked about today, all the drug use and all this cult rituals in the ancient world. What are the what would be the implications on the modern world today if we were to be enlightened by this information?
Yeah, it means our religious background is rooted in a guy that we venerate. And that guy was somebody who used children's. He was involved with drugs. It's a mystery that was nothing like going to church today. At least I don't think it is. Maybe somebody's out there, but I don't think it's like that anymore. And the fact is, we have built a society based on a lie, on a complete lie. And it's such a hypocritical lie, because the very guy that you venerate, I mean, dude, he's arrested in a public park with a kid. Danny, if you and I got arrested in a public park with 12 kids, what do you think we would be? Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, for people who think this is crazy and out there, I actually brought two sources. I mean, I have more comments that we can go through, but since we're on this topic, somebody reminded me, somebody in my comment section, when I shared this video right now to my people, shout out to Trent Little. He reminded me of something. I know you know about this. I know you talked about this. In the PGM, in book 4, there is an actual passage about the naked kid thing. Can I pull that up? I have. So I'm gonna share a screen, and I just want to real quick just go. It's in the Greek magical part. I have it ready to go. It's ready to roll right now. And as soon as you pull it up, let me know. Okay, can you see that? All right, I'll read it out to you. And if it's I could zoom in a little bit.
Go for it. I'm not even going to put on my glasses. Read it to me.
Here's what it says. This is the English translation of the Greek. PGM 4:88 through 93 says, another to Helios. Wrap a naked boy in linen from head to toe, then clap your hands after making him ringing noise. Place the boy opposite the sun and stand behind him and say the formula. I am Barbarioth. Barbarioth am I. Peskut Yahu Adonai Eloah Saboeth. By the way, that's what Jesus said on the cross. Sabachthoni Eloi. Those are magical incantations. And then it says, come into this little one today, for I am Barbarioth. So shout out to Trent Little for bringing this to my attention. I know we've talked about this verse before, but it was perfect because it reminds us this is not out. What Amon is bringing to the table is out there in the first century Greco-Roman world of magic. What are your thoughts on that? And I have one more source that I want to go to.
The only thought I've got that's right in the middle of my forehead is that great priestess knight in the PGM is called the pederast, right? So a lot of the magic that you see is going to have, and this pederasty. And when you see that the gods, Sabaoth, right, Yahoo, and all of our, regular gods that become Yahoo, those people are there, right? So this is not news to the world. I mean, it's not like new, right? They knew about it back then. It was happening, and
That's it.
it's just the way things were.
That's
So
the one.
yeah,
That's the guy right there, and it's good on him. And it's awesome to see other people that are looking into this stuff and finding sources that line up that you could cross reference to. So shout out to Trent Little on that one. One more source that I want to pull up.
Yeah.
And then I will go back to the comments. But I think this is also relative. We talk about Orpheus at the end of his life. Orpheus is the high priest of Dionysus. He's the son of Apollo. He is the theologian. He gives the apocalypse. These are all terms that come from Orpheus. And this is what it says in Ovid's Metamorphoses at the end of his life, before the Maenads are sent to tear him apart. It says in book 10, I think this is, stunned by the double loss of his wife, Orpheus was like that of a coward who saw Cerberus, the three-headed dog, chained by the central neck, and whose fear vanished from with his nature as stone transformed his body, or like Olenus. And you, Letheia, too proud of your beauty, he wished to be charged with your crime and seemed guilty himself. Once wedded hearts, you are now rocks set a moist Mount Ida. Orpheus wished and prayed in vain to cross the Styx again, but the ferryman fended him off. Still, for 7 days, he sat there by the shore, neglecting himself and not taking nourishment. This kind of reminds me of how the state of Jesus was in the garden. Sorrow, troubled thought, and tears were his food. He took himself to lofty Mount Rhodope and Haemus, swept by the winds, complaining that the gods of Erebus were cruel. This is where it gets crazy. 3 times the sun had ended that year in watery Pisces, and Orpheus had abstained from the love of women, either because things ended badly for him or because he had sworn to do so. Yet many felt a desire to be joined with the poet, and many grieved at rejection. Indeed, he was the first of the Thracian people to transfer his love to young boys and to enjoy their brief springtime and early flowering this side of the manhood. Now, we've checked the Latin before. We don't have time for that right now. But there's an argument to be made that it says he plucks their manhood during the early flowering. That this is not the correct translation. But I'll let people look into that and do their homework on that. But yeah, Orpheus is performing. And by the way, the Thracians are known as the Lestes. They're by the Black Sea.
Do you remember that account? Do you remember that account we read a while ago? It was about a Thracian pirate who abducted a young boy and then cut off his testicles while he was sleeping. And he talks about what a great transformation this is that he's brought about in the kid, and the kid is a new being and everything. That's a Thracian. Yeah, that's the same.
And we're just pulling up contemporary sources. Ovid is written, in the same, roughly a few decades before the gospel started, maybe 50, 60 years. But, we're contemporary. The PGM contemporary with. These are contemporary texts to the gospels. So we're showing you what was going on in other texts during this period. Very similar stuff.
Look, we're doing what seminarian instructors don't have the wherewithal to do. We're giving you the sources, baby, and all of this stuff. All you Bible scholars, you got to know about this conitis. You got to know about this stuff going on, right? Okay, boys of Galilee are waiting. Let's go to the next comment. Let's see a couple comments.
I got some comments. You want to see mine?
Yeah, let's see yours.
All right.
Go ahead.
This is from Jane Dominic 666. This man is Baphomet. He is the Antichrist that comes before the Christ. Watch out, Danny. Okay. Go ahead.
That man is trying to butter me up. That's the kindest thing you could ever say.
That's what I thought you would say. I thought you'd take a compliment.
That's no, but don't worry. Danny, if you're watching, Danny, a lot of people are praying for you, Danny. A lot of people. I've brought you a lot of people to pray for you.
Like this person here.
Go ahead. Let's see this one.
Jesus is God 3333. This guy is literally demonic possessed. My Catholic priest can come and exorcise him. Danny, this can spread to you if you are not careful. This is serious. By the way, to find these comments, all I had to do is keep refreshing and look at the newest comments, and I'd find something like this. That's how easy there was so many of these that we had to cut out a lot of them. There were so many comments like this. Look at this. I found this from refreshing. It was 6 minutes old when I found it. All right. And then here's a couple that I found from yesterday. This guy seems to have spent his whole life to discover 5,000 years of cool conspiracy theories and bringing them to light. Badass scholar of the ancient shit. 59 likes. By the way, the big comments with the most likes are all positive. So here's a whole chunk of positive stuff. 5 minutes in on this podcast, one of the weirdest MFers I've ever heard with a smiley face. 80 likes. I am psychologically disturbed after watching this. The next person says, this guy is amazing. Knowledge is power. Don't shoot the messenger. Not even done with this video. And I'm like, WTF am I watching right now? And then the last one on this page is, this guy will definitely seem strange to most people, but I'm finding this absolutely fascinating. And so, any thoughts on
man, that makes me feel so warm and fuzzy. I love that. Especially the ones that it confuses. It's like, what happened? You know what I mean? You can see, if you're to categorize the different voices of responses that we get, you get one group it's almost like a thunderstruck group, and there's a group that's scared, right? They're the ones shouting, this guy's a demon. This guy's got a demon. They don't say he is a demon. They say he's got a demon, right? Okay. So, look, can we just here pop us both up big? I want to ask Neil straight up, man, straight up. Demon possessed guy wants to know, are we back in 1331 yet? Do you think we're there? How close do you think? What spark is it going to take for one of these people to set off the explosion, right? To burn that body. You know what I mean?
The 1300s, the 14th century is when you finally start to see the trickling in of sources that are going back to the Greek. For example, you get Flavio, Biondi Flavio, you get Brumi, and then Machiavelli's in the next century right after that. And these people, and then Plethon comes from Constantinople. Plethon rewired his entire brain. I'm reading about this guy, Plethon. Everyone needs to do their homework on him. He saved civilization, dude. He brought the Renaissance. Him and his wife, I shouldn't just say him, credit to his wife too. They retrained their brains to stop learning Byzantine Greek and Latin, and they started talking and writing in classical Attic Greek. And they went back to the sources. He rejected Christianity. He loved Homer. He loved Hellenism. He loved the Chaldean oracles. He loved all the ancient Greek stuff. And this is what he did. He knew that when he died, the church was going to burn all his books, because that's what happened to people like him. He saw it happen before him. So he had the smarts to decide, I'm going to take all of my work and I'm going to give it to someone who I can trust that's going to preserve it. And he goes to Venice, and he brings, this is where, as I said, Venice is where, Florence. Everyone says Florence is where the Renaissance sprouted up, right? He goes to Florence, and he gives all of his work to Medici and says, don't tell anyone that I gave you this. Save it and get someone to translate it after I die, or pass it down and, copy it into a new, that's how they did it back then before the printing press. He does that. And guess what happens? After he dies, Gregory Palamas does in fact order the books to be burned and says, this guy needs to be erased from history. And they thought they erased his books, but they didn't. They survived. And then we get the Renaissance right after that. You start getting in the Renaissance, you start getting paintings of Venus and Bacchus and Apollo again. They're bringing the image back into the consciousness of the human of civilization. That's what's saving.
And they're bringing with it freedom. They're bringing with it that unrestrainable freedom. Yeah, love it. That adamantine freedom. Love it. And the fact that you would bring those souls here, just shows people, look, this is a war, right? This is a war that we have had through time. and we are being hit by a wave that will take us back to the dark ages. If people can watch how people are reacting, you can read the psyche of what's going on. Hit the next. Let's see. Lady Babylon Danger is literally one of the greatest things I've. Oh, fantastic! Where did it teach? Okay, we'll look into teaching and whatnot in just a second. But let's see where else this thing went in the mind of the people. Give us the next couple. Boom. Yeah. Can't watch this demon. Now I think this is serious. I think it's serious. I'm not sure. Give me the next one. We gotta put some purple in our right butterseas. Yeah, right, exactly. Okay, at least somebody's following. Okay, give me the next one. Steve-O's academic brother. I have no resemblance to Steve-O. I have no. Would I let a snake bite my backside? Probably. Thank you for interviewing Dr. Amen. His work is very important to all of us and helps us understand the word of our prophets and the foundations of our modern religions. That's nice. That's nice. Plus, it is a delight to hear of a world where the goddess, oh, this is really why I put this up here, was widely worshipped, and women were celebrated as healers, scholars, besides lovers, right? Gorgeous. That's the kind of stuff. When I see that kind of stuff, Neil, and I realize they're seeing things that, inspire them. That's the only reason we're here. And those women, I really wanted to emphasize this more and more in satanic initiation, but I wanted to build that base of modern women who saw the ancient woman that we're talking about and would say, holy mackerel, that's a woman. You know what I mean? She will kick you in the, oh God, let's not get too into that before I get out of hand. Give me another one. Look, okay, now what about these guys? And I want to know. Now, what I thought was funny, and then I'll let you chime in, is the fact that it's not just blasphemy. Bob Long, we can have a debate about who's long and whatnot, but this is absolute blasphemy. Now, Bob, tell me something. What's the difference between blasphemy, really, and absolute blasphemy? I mean, blasphemy is kind of an absolute thing. It's kind of like, ooh. So it makes me think, Bob, that it's just delighting. You're just exulting in how blasphemous this thing is. I appreciate it, Bob. What do you think, Neil?
Bob he looks like he's a church going, conservative, clean cut guy. And I think he defiled him. I think he heard some things and his ears he didn't have the ears to hear. So
yeah.
Sorry about that, man.
Look, in all seriousness, this is a real reaction, right? People, there are groups of people that will say, oh my God, I thought you were nuts. But then I looked up what you were saying and it's actually there, right? That you're not making this stuff up. And yeah, there's that group. And then there's the group that these people would rather burn you alive than even consider what you are saying, right? These are the ones who are throwing the blasphemy. And remember, just a few hundred years ago, an accusation like this from Bob could get the two of us put into a prison,
right,
and tortured. Yeah. Thank you, Bob.
By the way, the video that I'm working on right now, that I have my script pretty much fully written already, and I'm recording it now, is about the Dark Ages. And so Carl Sagan was famous. Carl Sagan, the great scientist of the last generation, he was famous he came out of a brand new CBS show called The Cosmos, and he said that we had all these great thinkers like Hypatia and Archimedes and Eratosthenes, and they figured out the Earth's circumference and all this shit. And then all of a sudden, after Hypatia is murdered, we go into darkness for, he said, 1,000 years. He got criticized for that by academia, saying that's not actually correct. The Dark Ages really weren't as dark as we originally thought. It was actually a pretty good time. The Christians were actually pretty cool. It's like, no, F that. I'm making a video right now, and I'm agreeing with Carl Sagan, And I think the number one way we can test this is the sources. What can you compare Ovid and Virgil and Homer and Aristotle and Hypatia and Plato or Thales or Heraclitus, Parmenides, all these different scientists from the ancient world? What can you compare them to between 500? I'll even let you have a whole 1,000 years between 500 and 1,500. All right, so you can have Dante. Dante was pretty good. Boethius was pretty good. Okay, what else you got? That's it. You cannot compare. There's no classical sources. You got to wait till the 17th century before you start seeing Shakespeare and Francis Bacon. Forget about any. Listen, there's a reason why. And this author Petrarch, who I'm reading up on, Renaissance writer. His name is Petrarch. He coined the term Dark Ages, and the reason was he literally says, he doesn't say science and math or warfare or logistics or technology. He says it's about the sources. It's about the classical sources, and he's pointing exactly to what me and Amon were saying. That's where the term Dark Ages comes from. It's all about the sources. It's all about culture. It's all about religion. This stuff matters. That's what me and Amon are trying to do. We're not trying to get rid of religion. We're trying to save it. Trying to make it a more of a what it used to be like, where it's the Muse that inspires, not a bishop in some church that tells you what to think. You can think for yourself. That's freedom. Exactly. It's an expression of the self.
Exactly.
Know thyself, right?
Yeah, exactly. Gorgeous. I'm going. Let's go together. We put on the right robes. We'll celebrate Bacchus together. I love that. I was just reading today about the Palatine Church, the Palatine Library, and how it became what it was, and when it was transferred from another place, another temple, to the Temple of Apollo, and et cetera, et cetera. And it's strange because you're reading the history of this library and realize the Romans, for the hut dwellers that the Romans were, they switched to Greek. What do you think Marcus Aurelius did? Everybody's like, oh, he wrote his meditations in Greek. Yeah, because he did the same thing that you were talking about. He put his brain on ancient Greek and it geared it up. Yeah, fantastic.
Same with Polybius, same with Diodorus, same with Plutarch. These are all Roman era writers. They're all writing in Greek because that's the language. If you want to write a classic that's going to be saved forever, write it in Greek. Now, Ovid and Virgil are exceptions. There are great Latin writers, especially in the Augustan age. But let's get real. The Greek is where it's at.
Notice all the scientific. I will say this. Notice you got the scientific method coming out of Aristotle's well. And then following him, you've got Theophrastus with his botany, right? He's like the father of botany, they call him, right? I mean, and all of these different scientific disciplines, including the mathematics, including all the pharmacology. Oh my God. And you go into the museum. This period bleeds into the museum in Alexandria. And those guys, those doctors there, Herophilus, Erasistratus, all of the grammarians, they have the most scientific, technical group you can possibly assemble at the time. Right. You don't find that in any other languages. You don't find it. You don't find calculus. Why? Because they're doing it at the level that their language capacitates them to do. You don't find that in Latin. I'm sorry.
No.
For everybody who loves the ancient Romans, and you like to talk about, so many people dying in combat and stuff like that. That's great. But the language that they used wasn't really capacitated for the sciences, right? But the Greek was, and the Greek had so overgrown the Mediterranean that Latin never could then really develop. When you read the Latin medical authors and compare them with the Greek, it's night and day. It's night and day. The Latin medical works, Neil, are very, very practical. If you see this, do this. And the Greek works are all about, this is why the body works this way. And this is what you're going to have to do under these circumstances. And you have to reason through this and that. And it's not really geared. Latin was not geared towards botany. They were still calling plants just, papa ware, poppy.
it's funny because we're talking about Dark Ages and whatnot, and what the term means, and if it's a legit terminology. And Galen and Aristotle were the two main science books of Western civilization from the 2nd century. Obviously Aristotle's centuries before Galen, but Aristotle's work gets passed down and updated by people like Theophrastus, as you mentioned, but it's still the Aristotelian canon, they're calling it. It's still Aristotle's name is all over it, and they're updating it. But then Galen comes along and he writes all these medical texts, and then you have these two pillars of science, Galen, Aristotle, and it stays that way all the way until basically the Enlightenment. I mean, you talk about the sources that I'm reading, like Brumi and these guys from Petrarch and these people from the 1300s and 1400s and around the time of the fall of Constantinople, they're citing Galen and Aristotle still as if they're contemporaries. They didn't update that stuff. It just stays.
And the whole the Arabic speaking world is preserving all of the Galenic texts.
Yeah, and Aristotle too.
Yeah, because they're trying, and they're making libraries and whatnot too. That's where the libraries came in. Galen was talking about his library got burned down, or the storage area that, storage.
By the 10th century, after the 10th century, Plato was almost lost in the Latin language. He only survives in Greek. Then they start translating Plato into Latin in like the 13th, 14th century. Even Plato, they stopped. The Latin language was just like dumbing down in the West, but the Greeks were preserving everything. We're very lucky to have that.
Yeah, medieval Latin blows. People, I know most classicists won't admit that. Medieval Latin blows. It's like a step down from a step down. Amazing work on the interview, it's absolutely amazing. 101K views. Yay. Wish we had some kind of views, and the info is coming. I'm so proud that I've been taught by your achievement of a lifestyle. Oh, that's fantastic, people. See, that's the kind of thing. Look,
it's been there for a while.
Nobody paid for any of this, right? Nobody, right? You look, that's nice. Something nice said to somebody else. What's so wrong? What's so wrong with this picture? I don't think anything's wrong. Give us a couple more comments and one more clip. Actually,
by the way, what was my prediction to you? Remember, I said to you before it went public, I said this video is going to have. Well, I actually predicted within the first day it'll have 45,000 views, and then I said within 6 months it'll have 1.5 million views. That was my prediction. I actually had to update that. I think it's going to be more than that because you already doubled my expectation for day one. And now I have to double that. I think in 6-7 months from now, we're gonna be looking at a video with multiple millions of views.
The sniper in me says, "Bring it on." Yeah, love it. I love that. I hope that your dream comes true and we can dance together. This is Bacchic. People, do you notice? Now, let's get a couple more of these sayings, the things people are saying, because I want you to see the Bacchic initiation. Go, hit me a couple of comments. One of the most interesting podcasts I've listened to. Okay, look, it's piquing interest. What else? Bill Burr. Oh, God. Bill Burr and mushrooms. No, it's not Bill Burr, and I'm not on mushrooms. Please stop with the madness. Give me the next one. This is why the cult of Christ is dying. Okay, people, listen to this. Listen to Odin. This is why the cult of Christ is dying. It's sick culture. It takes a classicist with Dennis Hopper's personality to spread common sense. I love that. Look, it's somebody who's standing back and taking a look at what I'm saying and watching what's happening. Right? That's self-investigation. Good for you, Odin. I give Odin. What do you think, Neil?
Hey, I couldn't agree more.
Fantastic. Let's get some insults. I need some insults because Odin's going to pump up my head. If playing over 1,000 hours of Fallout New Vegas has taught me anything, it's that this guy is 100 telling the truth about something. I thought that was an interesting look. A lot of people slam video games, right? A lot of people slam them, but aren't they just kind of a modern novel?
Yeah.
Aren't they? Yeah.
I actually think there's the possibility that the Muse can inspire video game creators. Why not?
Yeah. Exactly.
Another medium for
Exactly.
the Muse to interact with.
Exactly. Love it. It's the eidola, the images, right? Love it. Thank you. Thank you, Elijah Palmer. Love it. Give us the next one. Oh, look at this one. This guy is a living demon. Do you think he's being serious there?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I mean, I
Maybe.
would be surprised. A lot of Christians think that people are infested with demons now. Like they do think that.
I could be. You know what's funny? I could be. Okay, let's just put ourselves in the,
Let's assume Christianity's true.
right.
Then maybe you are a demon.
Okay. Okay. Number one. Does it matter? And if the answer, we'll just assume it does. What do we do in this case? Is there a way to tell? I'm telling you the future, because this is what they develop. They develop a way to tell who you are when you're possessed by a demon. I love this. This is so medieval. It's gorgeous. Give me another one. Last one, and then we'll go to a clip. I just put this one up there for my ego, right? Is this the reborn hunter? Can you believe somebody said that? Can you believe? Shame on you, Matthew. Where's the whip? Shame on you, Matthew. Oh, that was for me and Hunter Thompson. Oh, genius. Hunter Thompson is genius, right? I'm definitely not. Give me that. That one. We are truly living in the end of this version of society when the wise, the genius, the fools, the crazy, and the pious are all silenced, and only the wicked and the warmongers are allowed to speak. Hey, blitz me. I'd blitz you. That's fantastic. That sounds like something. Didn't you like that, Neil? It sounded like poetry to me.
It is. That's a Muse. That's the Muse right there.
Yeah, love it. I love the fact that he talks about genius. And this is what is so hilarious. You were talking about Platon, who he and his wife got into the boat of ancient Greek and sailed off to Brainville, right? I can totally sympathize with this couple. Because, Neil, I got to be honest with you. If I were to show you my SAT scores, you would not be impressed. I am a person of average intelligence. Average. I wouldn't say I'm a dummy, but I'm a person of average intelligence. And how is it then? How is it that so many comments about genius? It's hilarious to watch it happen because it's not me. It's the Muse, and she guides my work. And if I need something, she opens it up right in front of me and finds it. There's a reason that every ancient poet in this Greek ocean starts by invoking her. There's a reason. I want you to stop tonight, and I want you to think about the physics of what I am talking about. When I look into the reflection, I see her standing next to me. That's the power of the Muse, the power to reach out. And that's what scares people. It's not me. Look at me. Come on, seriously. Dennis Hopper, first of all, I don't look like Dennis Hopper. You wouldn't be scared of me. No one's going to see me coming and run, right? It's silly. I don't know. Your thoughts?
Well, like you said, like Platon and his wife, they're going to the text, and we're going to the thing that what's the fabric, the medium. It is the language. That's how you express yourself. So we can only the matrix that we're operating in is only limited to how we can express ourselves. So
wait, listen to that. What the great Gnostic Informant has said, because you just got informed. Listen to that. It's the language that's doing it. He understands exactly what they said. The same thing. It's that logos that's the power that drives the universe. Mother Greek is sexy. Right?
They knew the Gospels had to be in Greek. They couldn't do it in Hebrew. That wouldn't work. The logos has to be Greek. But you know what I noticed is that you trying to explain all of this stuff to Danny in English is sort of where the problem lies. That's where the misfiring is happening. And you double down on that, right? You admit that's what it is.
Definitely.
It's hard to even explain it without sounding crazy, right?
How do you talk about Jesus Christ arrested in a public park at 4 a.m. with a naked boy without somebody going, "Oh, what?" Right? I'm waiting for somebody to truly depict the scene of the Garden of Gethsemane. I'm waiting for somebody to have Jesus and Ananias, and I want to see exactly what he's doing with that.
I wonder if the word in the PGM in the Greek is syndone. I think it is.
Oh, that thing's used all over. And businon as well. And whenever they say businon, that means it has the purple in it. It's already embedded. Isn't that funny? A lot of people are seeing the purple stuff and they're like, oh, yeah, fantastic. By the way, Aldboy just did a bit on the purple, short segment on the purple, because they found it in his backyard. Was it in your backyard, Aldboy? I don't think so. It was somewhere. He took a taxi. Right. Okay.
Oh, shit. I got a message from Danny.
Oh, fantastic.
I'm going to send you a message on. Actually, I can pull it up. He said, but I can pull it up right now. So it's a comment that I didn't even read it yet. I mean, we're going to both go into this blind. All right.
Okay.
But you go ahead and talk while I pull this up.
Oh, okay, fantastic. Yeah, what was the question that just came up? It was a good one. Ask about the sacred name of Rome. I have said the sacred name of Rome so many times, right? I've said it like mines. You'll hit it one of these times. And when you do, you'll be like, oh, and it'll give you like this feeling. You'll understand. That's how you use magic names. Right. That's how you use those sacred powers. Right. This is what the priests, Neil, who know the exorcisms will hear what I am telling to you. And they will know that this is authentic. That's real. And that's why the guy's saying, hey, Danny, look out, Danny. Let's see if Danny gets possessed. I
got the comment right here. All right. So this is sent just by Danny just now. He said, from Kyle Glazier. He says that the Dead Sea Scrolls were originally written in Greek, but I can't find anything that corroborate that claim. Most of the scrolls are written in Hebrew, with a smaller number of Aramaic or Greek.
Now, look what's going on. Okay? They found a pot with a bunch of stuff, bunch of scraps. And in those scraps was some Greek, and in those scraps was some Hebrew. Now, the question is, which is the original? I can tell you for a fact the original was the Greek. I can tell you for a fact, due to one reason alone. The technicality is too high.
You know what's funny about that too is that in the discrepancies between the Masoretic and the Septuagint, when the ones they found at Qumran actually lined up more with the Greek. And even in the Greek version, you have that Yahoo name. So there's it shows that was the oldest or it's possibly that could have been an older missing, whatever Septuagint we have today had to go through this. You understand what I'm saying? That makes sense?
You know what's hilarious is that first, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void. And the words without form and void in Hebrew are tohu wa bohu. And tohu and bohu sound like the exact same word where you just flip the first consonant. Yes, it's exactly what they are, and they both mean empty. Here's the bad thing. Neither of the Greek words means empty. Neither of them. And they mean a much more sophisticated. One's a scaffolding. Imagine this. The quantum scaffolding of the universe, right? I'm talking 360 degrees. Quantum scaffolding. That's what the akataskewasiya that the Greek is talking about. That level of technical achievement isn't in the Hebrew. In the Hebrew, it just says empty and empty. Tohu wa bohu, right? It's terrible. And that's what I'm talking about. People are going to catch up. I'm telling you, the linguists will get into this. What we don't know, when we find scraps, one of them in one language and one of them in the other, we don't know. We don't know which is which. You assume it was the Hebrew because in the 2nd and 3rd centuries Anno Domini, that is the narrative that was used to help prop up the idea that the Jewish Judeo-Christian God, because the Christians were complicit in this. What it is, people, is it's a lie of history. It's a lie. To say the original document was in Hebrew is a lie.
By the way, you made a really good argument when we were talking with Derek and Kip the one time. With the Theosebes as a technical religious term, it can mean either religious awe, it can mean mania, frenzy, it can mean superstition. Theosebes, God inspired, right? And you notice how that term shows up in the Septuagint quite often. But when you find it in the Hebrew side, it breaks down into 2 words. It'll say like God inspired or religious feeling, which means it would be this is a really good point you were making. It would be kind of hard to do where you take 2 words like that and then define it and then make it into a technical term. It's like you're going backwards instead of taking a technical term and translating it as God inspired in the Hebrew. That was a really good point you made.
It's obvious that it's an attempt. It's an attempt for the language that is not powerful to grasp at the language that is powerful. And it's just a matter of time before people see that, and it kind of blows the whole myth. Just like, oh my God, you mean this is not how? No, the earliest we have of Moses is the 3rd century, and it's in Greek, bro. It's just the way it is. Embrace your Greek. Your Greek linguistic heritage, right? Embrace it. Right? If you don't embrace your reality, that's why I think satanic initiation is so important.
I just want to say one thing about that. That's really what you just said. Mm-hmm. People don't realize this. Okay, Homer. When did Homer live? I don't know, 8th century BC, something like that. Well, guess what? You can look this up for yourself. Look up the Cup of Nestor. It's an archaeological find of a cup that has Homer inscribed in it, quoting Homer. Nestor is one of the characters of the Iliad. His cup is part of the story. There's a cup, and on the cup is writing from Homer. And it's dated to exactly the time where Homer's living in. So Homer was famous, whatever. They made this cup. Some probably prince had it somewhere. Who knows? Whatever the story is. The point is, we have archaeological evidence, physical evidence that you could touch in your hand that quotes Homer from the time that Homer lived. Now, Moses, on the other hand, they say he lived in like the 14th century BC. Do you find any archaeological evidence mentioning Homer? Any Egyptian records mentioning Homer? No. The first time Moses. First time Moses is ever mentioned in any sources is in the 300s BC. 320-ish, around there. Right around the time when Alexandria is being built, too, by Hecataeus of Abdera. Before that, Moses is never mentioned, and it's so bad that when you have the Jews living in Elephantine down in Egypt, they fled there after the year 597, and they stayed there all the way until the year 410. That's when you stop seeing papyri from that period in that city. And in all that time, from 597 to 410, no Moses, no Abraham, no Noah, no David, nothing. It's like the Torah never existed to them. That makes no sense at all.
Right. I had somebody today write in a note that said, I asked Chat GPT. Right. Which is kind of cool. I give him that. But Chat GPT said, we have written Hebrew sources from the 7th century. of these sacred texts that are the Bible. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
No, we don't.
That doesn't exist.
Right? Chat GPT. Let me. Oh, God.
Objectively false. Objectively false.
Chat GPT on your buttocks. Oh God, it feels good.
You know what? They're probably whoever said that probably didn't understand what ChatGPT was saying. They're probably talking about the Mesha Stele. The Mesha Stele doesn't mention Moses or any of those. It mentions the kings that lived in Israel. No one's saying that they aren't real. People.
No, he was saying the books of Moses and stuff like that. Those prophets. They only backdate like that because it has to be earlier on than these documents are actually coming from. Right. It's amazing, to date the Septuagint. You get, Danny Jones asked me a good question. He said, hey, can we confirm this stuff? Basically is what he told you, what he asked me, excuse me. My answer is yes.
Yeah.
Right. All you need are classicists. All you need are people who are trained in Greek to look at these texts. That's all. What's the style and what period is it? They can date it for you. Right. And when they look at it and see what you and I have been looking at, it's just, they'll catch up. We're just, a few years ahead. That's all. Let's get another clip. Let's see. Critique this clip. Neil, give me some insult. Give it.
Most importantly, what I want to draw people to is I bring these sources out there in Lady Babylon. And it's my final portrait. And I hope that, that people will be able to appreciate the museum again, that people will worship and honor the Muse, because that's what our society and our gorgeous democracy, our gorgeous democracy is built on that. And I want to preserve that.
Do you think everyone knowing this stuff and basically, if people accepted this truth that you claim, do you think that would be a benefit to humanity to know this truth?
Yeah, just like Julia.
And I assume that practicing religions would collapse, right? And
because who would want to? If you knew that Jesus was would you really go?
Right.
Would you want to be involved? Would you want to give your money?
How do you think it would benefit our society?
Freedom. Adamantine freedom.
Yeah. Well, comment, Neil.
Yeah. No. Like I said, then that this access to this information will give people the freedom, like you said, to choose to follow something that they were lied to about, and this doesn't necessarily mean the religion will collapse. It just means we need to restructure what people think about religion and what was religion in the time of the Eleusinian mysteries like. What can we bring that back? What about the Samothracian mysteries? What about the Phrygian mysteries? What about the Roman imperial cult, the Mithraic mysteries? What about all this other stuff that was going on in this time period? Give people those options again.
We gotta, the Romans had that cult of Diana at Nemi, and the priest that was going to take over for Diana would have to kill the outgoing priest. And I think I see some wisdom in that, because if you leave Jesus in power, if you leave him in power, if you just say, well, we can reform this, you still have a dude who was arrested at 4 a.m. with a naked kid. You still have that guy leading the charge. And I think that's what the church has done. For many, many years, they've tried to kind of just plaster over Jesus so he's nice. Look at him. That guy wouldn't hurt anyone, right? He's always, whoo, right? You didn't see the Jesus who was there, right? God, I hope somebody can make.
Or the one in Revelation. Remember, you and I did a whole video on Gangster Jesus?
Yeah. And
I want to. That's a whole different Jesus that people don't talk about, where he's coming with the sword and he's saying that what did he say about the girl in the bed or something that he had? Remember that part? He said, I took the girl and put her in the bed.
Put her in the bed. Yeah. Oh yeah. For those adulteries that she, Yahoo's watching a sex tape, you know what I mean? That he's constructing himself with his mind. Seriously, who wants to follow this guy? Right? This is the guy who didn't know if you put the best looking dude in the party with the drugs, what do you think's going to happen with Eve? What do you think's going to happen? Bad idea. The groom can never be better looking. You cannot have a Henry Cavill standing next to you when you're getting married. You know what I mean? You can't. It's counterproductive, right? You know what I mean? All the love gets sucked out, right? Oh God, I love that. Let's go to a couple comments and then a couple more. I won't keep you too long because I didn't want to keep people that long. Here's a guy who says blank spirituality, which I didn't, and a life of introspection, which I didn't. Instead, pursue some dirty word all day. Oh, is that intercourse? Probably. And all day and blast your brain cells with unrelenting stream of chemicals. Naturally, the video responses are mostly, hell yeah, this guy's genius. Oh, first of all, it sounds like somebody's a little jelly. Second, second of all, I don't say blast your brains. Now look, I'm gonna have to tell people, right? I'm gonna have to tell them there are ways in this world, there are powers, and don't think that I don't harness those powers. Do you understand? But we follow a Scythian way, right? Everybody, who are you followers of? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Stream of chemicals. Don't bombard your brain with a stream of chemicals. Don't do that unless, those chemicals will help capacitate and bring you to health and whatnot. In that case, bombard.
Chewy, I want to pull up a verse real quick, if you don't mind. I just want to point something out. So if anyone who didn't know what I meant by that, this is from the mouth of Jesus himself. He says, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who call herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and the eating of food sacrificed to idols. I have given her time to repent of her immorality, but she is unwilling. So I will cast her on a bed of suffering, and I will make those who commit adultery with her suffer intensely unless they repent. What the hell? What happened to Jesus letting the adulterer go? What happened to that Jesus? He's throwing out a bed of suffering.
Yeah.
So it's like, those right-wing Christians, they got a point, dude. Jesus isn't the whole lovey-dovey guy you all thought. You know what I mean?
No, there's a little bit of Desaad in him. You know what I mean? There's a little bit, and you can see that it manifests itself in the evangelical psyche. Now we're drinking souls, baby. Right? The evangelical psyche. Right? Imagine you get up in front of a group and you tell them, "Hey, half of you go home." Okay, thanks. Submit. My wife will submit to me. It's that mentality. It's the mentality of no more. Show me, mommy. It's that thing, right? That was a color. What was that called? Violet something or other. Yeah, you guys will pick it up. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we're facing. Is that kind of blue velvet. Thank you. Chewy knows her cinema history.
Oh, that's from that one director. Yeah, Blue Velvet. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. That was that a Scorsese? I think it was a Scorsese. Somebody correct us if we're wrong on that one. But I'm just trying to invoke
No, David Lynch. That's what I thought. I knew.
Oh, was it David Lynch? Okay.
Crazy.
Give me a couple more comments, Neil. Let's do these quick because I've put too many. Don't do drugs, kids. Nice. I'm going to give us a couple in a row. Obviously, the DNA of Dennis Hopper. There I am. That's the blue velvet. Yeah. And Steve-O was combined in a laboratory. The resultant organism obtains its energy not through ATP, but a crystal meth cycle. Oh, my God. Listen, somebody said, I want to ask Neil a serious question. Okay, take down that silly comment. Take that down. Neil, I want to ask you. Somebody said there were a lot of comments about my voice. And somebody said I was doing things with it. Somebody said that it was bothering them and they just couldn't. It was just they had to leave the room. Yeah, something about my voice that was doing something, right? What do you think? Do you think it's I
think the demon possession was getting to them. I think you remember how you hovered in the room and hovered over I think that was happening to them maybe.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's
I
kind of.
I thought it was pretty normal to me. So maybe that's just maybe they're just having a different reaction than me. Maybe I'm immune to the demons and they're not.
All right. Wait. We're back to our thought experiment. So if I am demon possessed, I should have some kind of power, right? And can we assume that being able to talk in two different voices at once is a thing to go? You know, you can speed it up and you can tell, right? Who said I was an alien? Seriously, did you see that? There's a conspiracy going. A couple of people said he's obviously one of those aliens, and in his earlier pictures, his head is conical. He's got alien accent even. And by the way, for the people who said I was from England, I'm not. And not that that would be bad. I'm not. I don't know how you could be more American in your accent than what I've got going on. So all of those comments, I'm wondering, what do we do with those? Because, that's not content and it doesn't matter, right? It's just people who are, I don't know, reacting. The thing that I think we do with that, Neil, is that we use it like radar. Look at what the people out there are thinking, right? Flash them with a little sonic wave and it comes back to you. And how do they react? And you can see how some people react. Some people, all people, have programmed responses. So when you are initiating, so I'm addressing my satanic congregation now, when you are initiating, you will be dealing with very specific types. When you try to wake somebody up to the reality of Jesus with little kids, right? You're going to have certain cases, certain types of people. Give me a couple more. Let's look at, we only have a couple more. Look at what we've got. Watch this. Okay. Neil, this one I want, I didn't get to ask Neil my personal question, but I'll ask him in a second. Look at this one. How could Marcus Aurelius successfully campaign for most of his life and then spend much of the rest writing about Stoicism if he was high on opium most of the time? Wait a minute.
Wait, that didn't follow. If you're on opium, you can be a Stoic all day long. Because that's what it takes to be a Stoic. You need to be calm and chill, and your heart rate's got to be down. That's what a Stoic is. A Stoic is able to, anything's thrown at you, you can handle. A lot of opium will make you a Stoic.
Exactly.
That's
exactly.
Like a cheat code for being a Stoic is being on opium.
Yeah, they ran opium to Spartans once in order to, because they were all using it. You know what I mean? And they were fighting battles, so there were wounds and stuff like that.
If you have an endless supply of opium, you can be the best Stoic in the world all day.
Yeah. And remember, this is opium that's not been acetylated into heroin, right? So it's going to be a different. This is not an opium den. Marcus Aurelius isn't sitting on his side and dreaming all the time. No. He's using it in a way to capacitate himself rather than to blitz himself.
To understand what it takes to be a Stoic, you have to understand that the mind of Zeus, that's the Logos, is in control. And whatever that Logos' will is what's going to happen. And you don't have any control over it. So you have to accept it and play your role, whether you're a slave or you're a plebeian or you're a equestrian, a warrior or a farmer or a king. You play your role that you were granted by the mind of Zeus. Mm-hmm. And you do it without complaining. That is what a Stoic is.
Oh, doesn't it sound like an opium thing?
Sounds like if you have opium, you're going to be a great Stoic.
Yeah, feel good. I love it. I love it. Now look at the last sentence. Just because a text is ancient does not mean it isn't a forgery or its content isn't salacious fiction. Now, wait a minute. We're talking. Now, do you see how ridiculous this is? This dude steps up into the ring and I'm going to take away his sword and I'm going to shove it somewhere, right? Dude, who is this? Jeremy. Dude, let me just tell you something. We were talking about Galen and he is writing about prescriptions for Marcus Aurelius, noting that he has to adjust the dosage of opium upwards because Marcus Aurelius is becoming accustomed, is how they expressed it, accustomed to the drug, right? This is not salacious fiction. This can't be salacious fiction. I'm talking science. I'm talking science, Jeremy. Wake up and have your cherry popped. Wow. That's amazing. Get out of here. Pull that kid's corpse out of here. Give me the next one. Oh, God. Alma should write a book someday. Somebody just told me I should translate the Bible. Again, Christian for many decades. Oh, this is somebody who's been there and who's been in it. I love these types of responses because, look, there's a psychology out there of people who have been pulled into the Christian machine, right? Or the monist machine, the Jewish Orthodox machine, the Christian machine, the Islamic fundamentalist machine, the Taliban machine, all of the monism, right? Those sucked them in, and you can get out. You can escape. You can take your burqa off and you can run around, right? I love that. I love that. When people write to me and say that, that is the pure soul suck. That is the, oh, you've communed with someone.
You know what that is? That's that eudaimonia right there. That's that stoic virtue of being having that eudaimonia that breaks up into good daemon, but it really means happiness.
Yeah. Oh, God.
That's what I see in that comment right there. There's a stoic right there. Speaking of stoicism, I mean, I wish we were on the topic.
That's a sexy way to talk. I love that, Neil. Give me the next one. Kindly, but realistically and energetically, the video. Oh, this video is a portal. This man is a portal. And are you sure you want to spread this energy, Danny? Danny, what does your gut say? Please follow it. Oh, you can see this nightingale. God, this is, who is this? This is Impress. This is Impress Oracle. Danny, Impress Oracle wants to save you. She wants to save you, Danny. Can you believe the psychology? A portal. What? Okay, let's just assume she's right. What kind of what does she mean? Like, is that why my bathroom stinks sometimes? Or, is that why I can't explain what the droppings are in the backyard? Is some portal open up? Some sewage just flood in or something? What the? Seriously? How am I supposed to take this, Neil?
Well, in a way, she's right. You kind of are bringing a portal to the ancient world. You're saying, look, here's the ancient world. We forgot about it. Through the dark ages, we lost this information. But I'm here to enlighten everybody. And so, yeah, it is a portal. We're opening up a portal to ancient Athens and ancient Eleusis and Rome and Alexandria. So yeah, it is a portal.
Yeah, definitely. I want to go back to that mystery that Jesus was involved in. That's what I want. I just want to land there in Gethsemane, and I want to see that naked kid standing there with Jesus and be like, just for 1 minute, have the insight.
What if you couldn't bring your phone though, so no one would believe you? That would suck. Or if you just have one snapshot, you have to get it.
What are you gonna do, right? Maybe you drop your phone or something and you leave it there or something, right? I don't know.
Come back. I saw it, everybody, and they're like, "Where's the evidence?" Like, shit.
Oh man, I guess I'm demon possessed again. Hit it. Go ahead. Hit the clip. Next one.
And then there was the inquiry, the formal inquiry, and it was I'm told it was 2 charges. Number 1 was demon possession, which personally I think that's pretty cool.
That's pretty metal.
No, that is. Yeah. Number 2, I was opening portals.
To where?
I don't know. But do you think I would be at a Catholic?
Can you find this? Is this published anywhere?
Yeah, it is. Now, wait. I got to finish, though, so people can have a little sympathy for me. I was fired after the production of the Medea. It was wildly successful. People said it was the best thing they ever produced, right? But I had choruses of Catholic university students pointing those.
What?
Yes. they said they wanted it accurate.
So, two things people talk about. They don't like that there was so much censoring, right? They don't like that Danny had to bleep it. You know what I mean? So that's interesting, right? There's a group of people out there who, are sensitive to that free
Yeah, but in Danny's defense,
expression.
he wasn't trying to censor you because he wanted to. He just wanted to make sure that the video didn't get brought down by the YouTube algorithm.
Right.
So if anything, he freed you up in a certain way.
Yeah, no. That's exactly what I thought. He did that. He has to dance that dance, or he's not going to get on. And
the video would not be as many views as it has if he would have,
No.
if he just would have dropped the way it was. It would
No.
have flagged so bad.
Yeah, no, totally reasonable, Now,
And in his defense as well, he's there. You have the option if you want to go and get the full gritty version. It's out there.
yeah. If you want the full dirty movie, go buy it. Right, go buy it. Yeah. And for those of you who don't have the money, look, I'm poor. For those of you who don't have the money to do that, look at what I'm saying. You can see what I'm saying. You don't need to.
You don't need it. Yeah.
You know, I mean, they left it available enough that we can figure out what it means.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I thought it was great that he laughed in the background. Steve, I don't know if you caught it, but you can hear Steve laugh in the background over the demon possession thing. But I want you to see that this is happening again and again. This is part of the initiation. There is a static that you will rub up against, and that static produces this demon possession thing, right? So it's pretty cool. I think it is metal, to be honest. Give me the last clip, sweetie.
Yeah, nobody is above. Nobody is above the democracy. Nobody is above your reason. Nobody is above the mind that you've been given. And that nature is your mom. And the mystery brings you to a place where you know who you are. That's what it said on the Temple of Apollo. It said, know yourself. Gnosis auton. Know yourself, right? So, yeah, I think there would be a renaissance. And I would love it. But you couldn't worship Jesus anymore. You couldn't take the communion.
Way to bring it back full circle with what we've been saying this entire time.
Yeah. No communion, brother. There's no communion anymore. Because how can you? Right? I mean, think about your morality. If you woke up tomorrow and you found out Jesus Christ was basically history's kind of awful, rotten criminal dude who was turned into a power moving, money making institution that influenced history and the development of Western government. You know what I mean? How could you? Who was it? Was it Machiavelli you were reading the other day, Neil, that said Christianity screwed up classical civilization? Who was that?
Machiavelli. That's from Discourses on Livy. You can go in there, read about what he thinks about Christianity and Roman religion. He thought Roman religion had a better understanding of nature and stuff like that, and it gave people something to look forward to every month. Every month was a new festival. The Hilaria Festival, the Florealia Festival, all these different Apollo games came in the summertime. Every month. And then Christianity is like, oh, we have Easter and we have Christmas, and that's it. It's like, and then you have to have Lent, you have to fast. They're like, oh, it's nothing to look forward to. But the point was, look, you had Machiavelli points this out, that religion is really the culture that keeps civilization, gives it a purpose, gives it some glue to give everybody something to be connected with. And it wasn't just him either. All these different Renaissance writers were pointing this out. They're saying, we live in a time where atheism's on the rise. People don't believe in this religion anymore because it's just pure dogma. It's like forcing you to think. Whereas the old mystery religion didn't really do that. You kind of had to have your own path that you're on. You got to be initiated, or you're not initiated. It didn't really matter. There's nothing forcing you to do anything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Could you imagine opening your eyes to a reality when you've been in this comatose state and you thought what was going on was real, and suddenly you wake up to that reality. That life-giving spark is what drove these ancient mysteries, and bringing somebody to that awakening was their ionic salvation. It makes me wonder if we could understand who Jesus actually was. We were like, everybody just puts it down. Yeah, it looks like there's too much evidence. He's a kind of a creep, and he was involved in child prostitution and drug use, drugging children, and involving them in acts that were of a sexual cultic bent. If we could all agree to that and come to that point, Danny asked me this question: what happens? Is that a good thing? And my answer to him was really inside of my head. I didn't say it out very good, but inside of my head, it was a resounding yes. It's always better to pull toward reason. It's always better to those natural gifts that we have, that logos that we have should compel us toward reason and not toward faith. And you even see that dichotomy. You see that struggle with Paul. He's like, you Greeks, you're all about your science, right? You got to be about faith, right? It's the person struggling to convince somebody that what they're reasoning is wrong, and they have to accept something that isn't natural, right? That isn't natural. Then the real judge for antiquity was what was natural, right? All of these drugs and everything, all of these acts that are going on, sex is natural. That's why they're using it in the rites. And it's a world that you don't even realize is there. I was just reading 3 days ago, Danny had to pull things, had to cover up certain acts and whatnot. But I was just reading 2 days ago. People have asked me, what about the virgin breast transformative drug? And I just came across another example of it in Galen, and the boy who's been unicized is there as well. Treatment of that area after making boys eunuchs for the sake of sacred worship.
When you brought up that source to Danny about when they throw the testicles in the house, and then whatever house it lands in, their job was to go and get some women's clothes to bring it to them. That's actually so well documented that even Christian sources write about that. Yeah. You have that in Firmicus. You have that in a couple other sources I have. There's mad sources for that. It was going on all the way into the 5th century until Theodosius.
And notice they don't have any exemptions, right? You cannot object to that. For a kid throwing his testicles into your living room, it's okay. It's time to get the women's clothes out. There's no objection. You don't see people sitting around saying, well, that's the most unnatural thing I ever seen, Emily. Right? No. You don't see any of that kind of thing. And you think, oh my God, these are Romans and Greeks, and they're embracing this? Yeah, they are.
In the Hilaria Festival, which was during that last week of March when that went down, was one of the biggest festivals in the entire Roman Empire, all the way down in Egypt, all the way in Rome, all the way in Phrygia. They were doing it everywhere. So this was a huge event that everyone knew about. It wasn't just some random one-off thing that happened one time. This was a thing that happened for 200 or more than that. Started in 200 BC when they imported Magna Mater, and it goes all the way up until the 5th century when the Christian authors are still writing about it. So you have like 700 years of that going down as part of the culture. That's crazy. That's a big deal.
Yeah, it's foundational. It's foundational. Let's go through the last of the comments.
I got a funny verse from Paul. You mentioned
go ahead.
Paul.
Go ahead.
Pull this up real quick. This just makes me laugh. Paul is trying to sell Christianity, and he's in he's in Athens, right? And Paul is now he's with the big boys now, and it says Paul was waiting for them in Athens. He was greatly distressed. The city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with both the Jews and the God-fearing Greeks. as well as in the marketplace, and those happened to be there. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is this babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seems to be advocating foreign gods." They said this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. Then they brought him to a meeting of the Areopagus, where they said to him, "May we know what this teaching is that you're presenting? You are bringing some strange ideas to our," the other one says notions, "to our ears. We would like to know what they mean." And then it says, "All the Athenians and foreigners who lived there spent their time doing nothing but talking and listening to the ideas." But it's just, what makes me laugh.
Can I just say, look at that. Can I just say, he's in a place where the people, not only they have schools of philosophers,
Right.
but they have people who are willing and ready to engage in discussions. Oh God, that's what could be more beautiful than that Athenian, democratic air. And it's funny as they're like, "What's this babbler talking about?"
Listen, and then it ends with this. This is hilarious. When they heard about the resurrection of the dead, some of them sneered, and others says, "We want to hear you again on this subject." Some of them followers, some of them believed. Among was Dionysus. So like basically he just gets like shut down. They're like, "This is weird." Like, all right, that's enough of that. Bye. It's just so funny how that. I don't know. That story makes me laugh when I hear it. I don't know what it is.
Give me the last.
Because that sounds like the Athenians.
Last couple.
That sounds exactly what the Athenians would do. They would go, "Huh? Tell us about this. Let's
Right.
see about here." And then they go, "Okay, that's enough of that. Goodbye."
And notice that was at the Areopagus, the Hill of Mars, where they conduct the earliest Athenian court was from the Areopagus.
Oh, yeah.
And Paul quotes, right? So he goes to that thing and he quotes the Epimenides quote that was originally given by Medea. Paul quotes it right there, because he's got some exposure to that literary culture of the Greeks. And that's why when people say that they found pots and there's Greek and Hebrew, that's why those are Hebrew. You know what's circulating? Greek. Greek is the literary language. Hebrew is not, right? It's not built for it. It's not capacitated for it. Greek is, but don't worry. The Roman scientific stuff blew. It totally blew. I know people love Lucretius and they're like, "Oh, the nature of things." That blows compared to Aristotle. Okay, I'm sorry. I say what I think, but give me the last couple of quotes, and I want Neil. There were a couple of funny ones here. Just give me a WTF. What, bro, did he just say? Jesus touched little boys and was sipping on the venom. I kind of feel weird if I write his name. I just yelled at my laptop 500 times because he's convincing. Okay.
That guy's possessed, dude.
Dude, whatever you're taking, okay, fantastic. They said I was taking something. What are you talking about? You guys in the audience, you're taking things. Go. Give me that one. This guy definitely works with the jinn. What did you think about that?
Well, I guess if you want to talk about the Arabic translation of demon, I guess jinn is the word you go with. Right?
Yeah. I like the fact that it's the idea that you can manipulate, like the jinn is there, and there's certain things, agreements that can be made, etc. I don't know. I kind of like that.
That's where you get the genie from, right? The genie.
Yeah, right, exactly. I want a bottle. Give me the next one. Too weird.
Oh, by the way, we're on the topic of genies. There's an Arabic text from the, I don't know, 700s, something like that. Maybe 800s, and it talks about an ancient ruin, and in this ancient ruin they found all types of genie bottles and gold and diamonds and jewels, and then they find a text, and it says written in old Ionian characters. That's how they describe it, old Ionian characters, and it's the Psalms. It's not Hebrew. It's the Book of Psalms, and it's written in old Ionian Greek. Isn't that crazy?
No, it's not crazy, because psalm is a Greek word.
It's
not crazy at all.
It's exactly what David does. Not David. It's exactly what Orpheus does. He plays a psalmoid.
Yeah, and Museus and Moses.
It's a song meant for a harp. That's what it means.
Yes, exactly. Did you know that song? Moses is Musaeus is a songwriter, right? So that's why you get people ask sometimes, why do you have songs of Moses? Right? Because when Moses's character was invented, they were doing it based off the Greek Musaeus, who was a poet.
That's why
Oh,
that's why a lot of scholars, and myself included, say that the nature of early Judaism, whatever you want to call it, Septuagint Judaism, is Orphic by nature, because it's being performed as songs. You get the Psalms, you get the Proverbs, you get all these, and it's all written in a cadence. It's like that's how the Orphic texts were written.
Right.
And by the way, the Orphic texts were called apocalypses, were called revelations. And
correct, sir.
Orpheus was called a theologian. All the same
Ah,
technology, all the same technological words that you get in Judeo-Christianity, you find in Alexandria in the Orphic literature.
yeah. Why don't people listen to that, Neil? Why don't people listen to you
Some of them do.
saying that?
Some of them do.
Some of them do. I don't know.
James Charlesworth is a big time Bible scholar. He's written about this subject, so it's out there. It's just not like it's just not fully absorbed yet. It's just starting to get out there, which is a good thing, though.
Yeah. I think if we look at the underbelly and we bring out all the underbelly, I think people will start. Like, I want people to investigate why Peter, James, and John can get away with killing Ananias and Sapphira. And you say, well, wait a minute. No, the Lord smote them. Okay, fine. That works on your fairy tale level, but antiquity was real history, right? So I want to know how the hell they got away with that. I understand they convinced their own followers that Ananias and Sapphira were being greedy and keeping gold out of their pockets. So God smote them. I understand. Your acolyte, who is a monist, your monist acolyte can be trained to believe anything. Right. So I understand them, but the people around him weren't the pagans standing around. Weren't they like, Jesus, did you see those Christians killed some of their own people? Right. Don't we get the authorities involved? It makes me wonder, were some of those crucifixions, well, some of that stuff I'll bet you was legitimate. You know what I mean? Like Peter may have gotten what he deserved. If you don't follow the fairy tale, if you follow the reality, it is Peter, James, and John killing two people to make a lesson to the acolytes who are nuts, that if they don't do something, they're going to end up like that. Glory be to God. And we stand around and we look at that. It's just like Jesus with his young disciples, with his young boys. We look at that and it doesn't penetrate our brain. We see the fairy tale that Christianity is very carefully plastered over. And I love it. The chance to be able to get to tell people this is our privilege and our honor, Neil. And it's a privilege and honor to have your fellow warriorship and working with you. And tell us real quick about what you're going to be doing over the next, because I want to hear your art. Like, give us a glimpse into the studio.
The next video I'm coming out with is it's kind of an anthropology video having to do with what is religion, the history of religion, going back. I'm quoting from Petrarch and Brumi and Machiavelli, what they thought about it at their time period when they were starting to wake up from what seems like some sort of hypnosis that came over the West for 800 years at that point in time. Platon, and I'm going through the etymology of the word religio in Latin, and then in Greek, eusebia. And there's all these different words of theosebes, there's pietas, there's fides, all these different words that we would consider to be where we get our word religion from. And it's the oath that you take, it's the awe of the frenzy, it's the devotion to the gods, obviously, and it's the community of, like, Eleusis, for example. So there's a lot of different factors. It's not just one thing. It's not just I go to a church. Religion is Christianity or Judaism. That's a way dumbed down, fixed way to look at religion. Whereas religion is more about the culture, where we get the word culture from. And that's what I'm getting into. It's very anthropological. It's going through a lot of history, but it also is going to shake things up because I'm calling some people out. Some of these modern day religious scholars that are full of shit. You'll see. Dan McClellan's one of them.
Yeah,
I wasn't going to say that, but I just slipped. Sorry.
No, Neil, you have to take the light of reason. You know what I mean? And
Let me just say something real quick. I'm just going to give you one little. I wasn't going to say this. I was going to wait on this because I don't know how I want to argue this point. But this guy wrote an article about what is religion, and he tries to define religio, the etymology of the word. He picks 3 random sources where the word religio is used. He picks Plautus, Caesar, and Cicero. Now, if you go to Perseus Tufts, we call it Alice, you'll see he left out about 80 other ones. So why did he choose those 3? Well, they happen to align with what his argument was. He cherry picks the data. That's wrong. You don't do that. You don't go into research saying, here's what I want to be true. Now let me find all the data to fix that. That's what Dan was doing in this article. So, and then he ignores the entire etymology of the word eusebia, which is the Greek word for religion. He doesn't even talk about that. And how are you going to ignore the whole Greek side of where we get our religion from? How are you going to just go right to the Latin and then pick 3 words? He's in trouble for this. The way he defines monotheism is problematic, in my opinion. He is selectively deciding that monotheism is just one thing, depending on how Judeo-Christianity looks at it. He's ignoring the monism, the pre-Socratics. He's ignoring Plato. He's ignoring Middle Platonism. He doesn't know what he's doing. It seems to me that this guy does not know what he's doing. He shouldn't call himself a scholar of religion. He should just call himself a scholar of the Hebrew Bible. That's all he knows. Anyways, that's it for now.
What's strange? I find strange about that is to use 3 sources like Plautus and Cicero and Caesar, and to assert something about religio, the religion. And when you use that word, you're talking about old Roman rites. And what is floating in Jesus's Hellenistic environment is actually as you said, the eusebia. And that's why they're running around talking about Saba and Sabbath, because Saba means to worship. It means to recognize those divinities. Yeah, so he's even in the wrong stream, right? He's in the wrong stream from the beginning.
Now you see why I'm having such an issue with this. I had to rewrite my script because I go, hold on a second, this is bad. This is really, for someone to call it, this is an award-winning scholar who just won an award for he won an award for public-facing academic. Yeah. And you're calling yourself a scholar of religion, and you don't even know what religion means.
Right.
That's like a physicist who doesn't understand, who's never read Einstein, and then just going off on just some random book they read on Twitter or something. Some shit they read. That's not a physicist. You're not a physicist, dude. Stop calling yourself that.
The other level of depth that you can tell about the person is you can tell that when somebody just looked at a definition of a word and without having read, like I doubt that Dan actually reads Plautus.
No.
I doubt that very seriously. I'm a Hellenist, but I also had to master Latin as well, and I can tell you for a fact that Plautus is not easy. Plautus is drawing upon some older archaic Latin. Right now, it's only from it's not that far back, because those hut dwellers, they weren't that advanced. But the fact is, Dan doesn't read. Dan doesn't sit around reading Plautus, and that's what it takes, Neil. That's what it takes. This is a good transition because people are asking me, what about the teaching and what about bringing us in? I want to learn Greek. This requires a commitment. When you are reading text every day, you're developing a kind of a second sense or feeling. You can kind of feel the Greek stretched around you. You feel where that cozy space is. And you only get that by charging through these texts all the time. If Dan's reading a shit ton of Plautus, then what we ought to do is bring that forward. If he's playing a grammarian's game, right? Not even a good grammarian's game, not like a Byzantine grammarian, but like a modern evangelical or large church, whether it's Mormon or Jehovah's Witnesses or whatever, any of them, right? Any of those monists. It feels like he plays that game. And that's disingenuous, man. If he's not out there reading Plautus, right? If he doesn't know Cicero and why it is that Cicero is so enamored of the divination of the Etruscans, don't tell me, right? Oh, God, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're getting my goat. Where's Penelope? Did you bring Penelope tonight? Let's flash Penelope. In the holy name of everything sacred, please consider this cross and what it covers, the multitude of sin. And that sin, Penelope, is gorgeous. It's gorgeous sin, I have to admit. But thank you for coming tonight. Neil, I'm going to give you the last comment, and then I'm going to hail Satan us out.
Oh, so if you enjoyed that interview that you did with Danny, first of all, definitely share it to somebody, because we need this to go viral. If you're gonna let it play on your computer while you're going in the other room, give it some more watch time. Get that thing out there. Write another comment in there. Hit the like button. Get that thing up there. And by the way, I'm following it up with my own talk that I already had with Danny, which is being edited right now. And check this out. It's almost like a part 2, because the first Danny was so shook up from talking to you. He had to ask me questions on what I thought about all this stuff. So immediately, the whole first hour of our discussion was about your discussion. So it really is like a perfect part 2. So you got to stay tuned and watch that part as well. You'll see we go right back to the sources again. We talk about Jesus and the boy in the garden. It's all going to be there, even me. So you'll enjoy it. I also talk about some early dirty Christian sources, like the Borborites and Mary being taken. This is part of the Borborite gospel, that Mary gets taken up onto a mountain with Jesus, and he says, in order to make it to the kingdom of heaven, you have to drink my load. You know what I mean? I don't want to say the word. This is in the Borborite gospel, and so we went through those sources. The purple, how the Marcus Magus got charged with putting purple psychedelics in the Eucharist in Rome. And then we found out that his sect of Christianity, the Marcosians, was the biggest spreading Christian group. There was all the way in France. So the early Christians were dirty as hell, and we know this. The sources reflect it. I brought that to the table, and you'll see that's coming up. Whenever Dan's ready on that, he might have it up next week, 2 weeks, who knows, whatever. But
he is so good. He should be given. You should be like, hey, Danny, don't take your time, bro.
Take your time. Yeah, hell yeah. Whenever it's ready, it's ready.
Yeah. Loved it. It was an honor, and I want to give him a last salute tonight. I want to give him the last salute and say thank you, Danny. I appreciate the fact that you would give a place for people to be able to discuss what everybody is immediately going to condemn, and everybody's immediately going to say, no, this is not the way it is. And it's, oh, you're going to hell. And, oh God, thank you, Danny. I appreciate it for all of Danny's Christian audience, who, may have been offended at the idea of Jesus Christ arrested with a naked boy who had his private parts covered by a medicated bandage that Jesus was using to get an antidote to a sacramental drug while he's yelling, I'm not a child trafficker. To those of you who that doesn't sit well with, good. Hail Satan.
Hail Satan.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shell. Magic even stronger than the drugs to sell. Are the songs, the magic fleece, darkness through dreams, an animal skin with the song of the queen, written there with magic ink, guarded by a dragon in the grave of Mars on the east side of the Black Sea. Dragon venom from the god with horns. I am being ionic. Watch the image. Jude's letters in Greek, cornucopia, Ouroboros, Cleo, Medea, and Bacchus. The dragon venom will knock him back. Phase interferometry, traces floating, crazy eyes, drinking purple mead and whiskey with Lady Medea, straight out of Babylon. Venus with a penis, gold horns of Alexander, hit you with the Mandelbrot set on the DMT. Way up the elemental P's, slang what words really mean. Dragon venom of darkest dreams.